Hello guys and gals, thanks for tuning back in to Woods and Waters of Kentucky. As everybody knows, it's April the 20th and all the fishing action is starting to heat up. A lot of your panfish like your bluegill and crappies and shell crackers are spawning and nesting, and I've actually seen some spawning or nesting activity with largemouth bass as well. But me and my boy, we've been doing quite a bit of fishing together, and we've hit some small lakes. One's quite a bit smaller than the other one, probably about a 3 or 4 acre lake. Then the other one's probably about a 70-80 acre lake. But either way, both of them were good fishing. The fish, they're up shallow on the banks and doing their thing. But I just decided to come out to the shop and lay out a little spread of baits and talk about them and what I've been using to catch fish. And one of them is kind of a juicy little secret. I know for a fact nobody does this. Nobody's ever thought to do it, because it's something, it's kind of like a two-part deal. One part has been around for years, and then I've just basically just added my own little twist to it. But we're going to just jump right into it and talk about it. So for years I've always just used red worms to bluegill fish with, but I've used Popeye jigs too. And these Popeye jigs here, let me get this camera focused. Here we go. So that's always been the standard Popeye jig. I think that's a size 1. Yeah, if you look here, that's a size 1 Popeye jig, and I think that's basically a 1/64 ounce jig head. And for years we would always tip them with wax worms, you know. Well, these are dead, but I managed to, in case you don't know what a wax worm looks like, there's one right there. He just ain't been dead as long as the others. But anyways, they also make an artificial wax worm, Berkeley power bait. You just break one of those off, and it's just made to imitate a live wax worm. So, and you know, I've caught crappie on these, you know. Had more luck with bluegills though, with the black. Purple, really good color, especially for I don't know, if clear water it seems to do pretty good. Let me adjust this here. I can hold it in my hand, right? Yeah, there we go. Clear water, it seems to do pretty good. I'm sure it would probably do okay in stained water too. Of course, you know, chartreuse, black and chartreuse is always good. You know, and I tend to catch more crappie on the color ones than just opposed to that solid black one. The solid black one will produce more bluegill, but these greens and purples will produce a lot of crappie. I've not had a chance to experiment with this red color. They say it's really good early in the season. Of course, you can get the bigger sized heads. I think that might be a 1/16 ounce. Yeah, that's definitely a 1/16. And you know, it has its a 1/16 ounce has its place, but when those fish are up shallow on the banks, anywhere from a foot to maybe 4 or 5 feet deep, I really tend to go with the smaller size jigs, either the 1/32 ounce or 1/64 ounce, just because of that slow fall rate. It's going to get you more bites when they're on the banks and nesting in that super shallow water. That's just all there is to it. It's going to get you more bites. That much slower fall rate, it just makes all the difference in the world. So yeah, basically the majority of my pan fishing for bluegill and crappie, when they're nesting up shallow on the banks during the spawn, I like 4-pound test mono. This is Vicious brand. For years I've always just used trilene, but I thought, what the heck, I'll try out some new line. I've seen other people use it. I have to agree, it's a pretty good line. It's not broke on me much. Really never on a fish yet. And when I do get hung up, you really got to pull hard to get that line to snap. So that Vicious is some pretty good stuff. Of course, if anybody don't know about fire dye, it's time to wake up, get with the times. This stuff here dyes your bait fish. You got to follow the instructions though, to the letter. Read the instructions and do it exactly how it says to do it on the bottle, and you'll have live minnows to crappie fish with, and they'll be dyed neon green. And when you're fishing in dirty water, you're going to get more bites. It's just the way it is. So these crappie nibbles here, made by Berkeley, once again, power bait, crappie nibbles. See right there where it says Chroma Glow? These glow in, I don't know if it's cloudy, muddy water or dark, shady areas, but they're supposed to glow. I can't really promise you that they do, and I can't really promise you that they're any better than the other ones. I just know that's the ones I've always used, and I like them. These right here, they have glitter. You can get different color glitter. This is a gold color. They make a green glitter colored one, but I have to be honest with you, just as soon as that crappie nibble hits the water, every bit of that glitter washes right off of it, and you end up looking like these. So honestly, I would not pay the extra money for the kind with glitter on them. I would just stick with this, either the green or the red would be my recommendation. I think they have a white one too, but I don't even use red, honestly. I just use these, and whether it's day or night, whatever, I use them, and it just seems to help. But the juice that I'm about to explain to y'all, or the part where I was talking about putting my own little twist on it and combining two presentations or two lures. So what I've been doing, of course I didn't do it in my last video because all these wax worms, they died, and all I had was these artificial ones, and I just didn't do it. But if I got good lively wax worms, my juice secret, especially for crappie. Now big bluegill, yes. If you're fishing in an area where there's monster bluegill, of course red worms, red worms are great. I love fishing with red worms if you're not fishing around a bunch of mossy, grassy, muddy areas where you're. Because when I fish with red worms, I fish on bottom. I don't fish with red worms with a floater. That's why I use the jigs, the Popeye jigs. But and that's when I was this last video that I put out. I kept on getting moss and weeds, and I just got tired of picking that moss and weeds off of my worm, my hook and my worm. It just got old, and so I switched to the Popeye jig. And let's see, I was using purple. I started out using the purple one, and then I eventually switched to the green. I never did throw the black, and there's a reason for that. The reason being, if that lake was primarily bluegill, that's all I would have used was the black. But since there's crappie, just as many crappie in there as there is bluegill, I went with the colored Popeye jigs. But here's the juice. So normally in my last video I put out, all I was doing was putting a crappie nibble on there, because like I say, I didn't have any lively wax worms, and basically this was what you got. You know, you just put it on the hook, nothing fancy. Just put it on there, and it is what it is. I don't think it really helps for the presentation part, but it puts like scent or taste on it, I guess. Makes them hit the lure more than once or commit to it better. I don't know. But even with that, at one point in time, the fish were still having trouble committing to the bait, taking it, because the water was so clear I could see them, and they were just going up to it and pecking at it and never would commit to it. So when that happens, what I recommend doing is this little juice secret. Kind of just spread those feathers a little bit like that. And when you put that crappie nibble on there, run it up in there where it's like inside the feathers like that. You know, just kind of run it up in there as far as you can. As long as you're not boogering up your feathers, you know. And then what I like to do is tip it with the wax worm. So what you end up having is both, you know, both trailers, or both enhancements, whatever. Like I say, it's just a little something extra for the fish to commit to. You know, you run this little bobber up there above it, about 1.5 to 2.5 feet deep. I'll even adjust it deeper than that. I'll go 4 or 5 feet deep, whatever I'm feeling, depending on how deep the water looks. But constantly changing that depth, constantly sliding that cork up and down that line to go shallow or deeper. But like I say, this is just something that I know for a fact nobody's doing. Crappie nibble, wax worm, Popeye jig or hair jig. Like I say, these Popeye jigs aren't available everywhere, I don't think. But if you go to Walmart or any of your tackle stores, they've got similar products. Oh yeah, and another point. These Popeye jigs, this is something I really like about Popeye jigs. If you look at these typical hair jigs that you can get at Walmart, the eye for the hook is at a 90-degree angle up here toward the top. I don't know. Let's see if we can. Yeah, there we go. See, the eye for that hook is at a 90, so you would have to tie a loop knot in order to keep that bait, the presentation, you know, horizontal. Keep that bait horizontal. And a loop knot is weaker than most knots. These Popeye jigs, the way they're made, the eye for the hook, or the eye for the line or whatever, where you tie your line, is at a more of a 45 instead of a 90. So that allows me to tie a Palomar knot, which is much stronger. I mean, I don't have anything against a loop knot as long as you got at least 8-pound test, 6 to 8 pound test. But when you get down to 4, sometimes I'll even fish with 2-pound test for bluegill, clear water. But that's a really big thing that I like about these Popeye jigs, is the 45-degree or whatever that angle is. It's just I don't have to tie a loop knot. I can tie a Palomar, which is much stronger and don't have near as many break-offs. And you know, you could always try doing my little secret with these if you don't have any live wax worms, because these are scented, by the way. Just tear one off. Just tear you one off, and it's just the same deal. And it would probably be cheaper than buying several packs of wax worms too, but I feel quite confident that a live wax worm would be better than a artificial wax worm. But you know, the whole idea behind it is, a lot of times when they hit it, if you miss the fish, he's gonna get that crappie nibble off that hook. He's gonna hit that crappie nibble, and you're gonna miss him. But a lot of times, if you got a little something extra on that hook, he's gonna come back for it again if you just let it sit there. If you miss him, don't just reel it in. Just let that bait sit there a little bit longer. Because if you still got that or a wax worm on there, he's definitely going to come back and get it. Or he may take the wax worm first and not get the crappie nibble. But either way, he should come back for that second strike. That's all I had. Just wanted to go over a few of my little secrets with y'all, and good luck fishing.